the other way. There we go. How's that? What the heck's going on?
Ah, hmm.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let me go in and tag you, and that'll give people a little bit of time to come in. How about that? So let
Very
me go.
good idea.
I need to. I tagged the. I need to tag the other account.
Yes, the Gabi Nara and DJing Gabi, both. Yeah.
Dejane. Dejane. I didn't know that's how it was
Yeah.
pronounced.
Yes.
I thought it was another version of Diane, but I guess it is. Dijon. Dejane.
Well, it's actually coming from the feminine DJing. So when
Ah.
you listen, you can feel the softness, DJing.
Dejane.
So
Dejane. All right. Okay. All right. Let's see here now. Oh, let me share it out real quick.
mm-hmm.
Okay, I
Ah.
tagged you. I tagged you. Let's see here. Group and boom and boom. Okay. All right. Friday the 13th. It is the day of the goddess, if I remember correctly.
Exactly.
And that seems to be, well, I don't even know if that's even true. I don't even know where to start today. I know that it was really weird because Wednesday I had two shows with two old friends of mine, and I didn't even make the connection. I had this crazy night before, and both of them were named Jenny. Both of them
Oh,
chose the 11th of February, and I cried through both of those shows. But they were incredible shows. The response from the audience was incredible. And then I had two shows yesterday, and I woke up and I thought, wow, the lucid dreams. I feel like I'm still on a ship. I mean, I don't know what's going on. And one of them was my friend in France, and they had a big storm and they lost electricity, so she couldn't go on. And then the second
mm-hmm.
one, it was her birthday, and she was having tech issues and she couldn't go on. And then after that, I was sitting here and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta lay down. And I laid down from like 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock in a total lucid dreams. And then the same last night, and I even took a little nap because I got up real up early. I took a 1 hour nap, and same thing. These lucid dreams, just
Mm.
we're doing a lot of work. I don't I don't know where to start, but thank you for coming in. I guess it's meant for us to talk on this date as opposed to last week when the power went out. But
Mm-hmm.
welcome back, Dejane, and it's good to see you again.
Gabi. Yes, thank you so much for having me once again here. And yes, last time it was a bit funny because I'm now openly confessing that when you ask me when to have the next show, and I tell you the first thing I heard it was the 13th. And then I said, oh no, we can do it earlier. So somehow I knew that somehow, yeah, it wasn't aligned to do it earlier. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but you are right. I mean, I will just hop in if I may.
Yes.
It was incredible, incredible. I mean, since even our last talk, which was, I have even no idea, maybe over a month or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yes, it was ramping up so much that I can also say what you're saying regarding lucid dreams and all of that. It's more an awakening dreaming now. So even if we lay down or if we don't, I mean, of course, if the energies are strong, we do, but we are awake. We don't even need to go anymore or being switched deeply off because that's already the awakened lucid dreaming. And I can also confirm that the past few days I had like waves and waves coming in, almost like again different than Kundalini, though these people who know that, how this kind of feeling is when you get these waves coming in, but it was rather blissful, different, so much light that if I would explain it, I would say it's like ecstatic, like ecstasy feeling, right? And I was like, oh my God, okay, so this is coming in with next week. As we know, this fire horse, all these planets, and massive and massive of openings. But it was almost like giving me these little dosages for the body to feel how this will even feel. Even it didn't start it yet, right? It was really just micro doses, but it's all about how can we, or how did we prepare the physical body to receive now what we're just talking about, explaining about that light which is coming in. And that light is actually this frequency of the unified field, which is then actually combining us all together in this, yeah, in this harmonious frequency, harmonious tone, if you want to say so. And yeah, it's just incredible.
Well, it's a lot of things. I think it's interesting too. What I'm finding very interesting. Like I know, I woke up on February the 11th, 2 days ago, and I said, like my soul said, I'm done with this. No more effing around. Let's do
Mhm.
this. There's nothing there's nothing to that's at risk. There's nothing to
Mhm.
lose. We are souls, and this world was created by
Mhm.
us. All the narratives and all the Epstein and all this and the wars, and that's
Yeah.
just nothing. It's all
Mhm.
one big distraction trying to take our focus and our attention and therefore our power. And at the same
Yeah.
time that this is all happening, I was just looking at some of the headlines this morning. The wheels are coming off. Everything's being
Mhm.
exposed, and then but the real unveiling is ourselves. That's the part
Mhm.
we can't forget. It's about us. It's about ourselves. And I feel like what's happening now is we are going to be asked to do things that does not conform with the old paradigm. You know, it
Mhm.
doesn't conform. But what have we been doing all these years? Our families, everyone told us that we were crazy. It's the same
Mhm.
thing, but this time we're going to go deeper. This time we're going to say, no, that's not in our world anymore. All of that stuff
Mhm.
goes away now. No more. And I feel like that's what's happening.
Oh, yes, because it's actually, like you beautifully explained, it's the soul coming now online. The soul is taking over. So anything what the ego thought, the identity, this human identity, who of course have always this control mechanism in the 3D. Like, I need to know, I need to plan, I need to prepare, I need to be secure, I need to hold on, no, I'm gonna let go. Like all of these mechanics is not really our nature, where we are flowing. And because we stopped with this flowing, we were not anymore aligned, not to Great Mother Gaia, not to the universal, the law of one. And all of that we actually blocked and held back and modified and so on. And I'm just speaking now global, right? Some more, some less. But what is now the beauty of it is that it's not anymore, and I will scream that out, it's not anymore in the hands of the ego identity. That's what changed for everyone. So everyone will feel that different. Of course, some will be still like, oh no, well, it's not functioning anymore, what I was doing every day for 20 years, or why my job has no success anymore. Because, like you said, those structures of the ego are actually breaking. And this is what we have to actually start to understand and start to get comfortable, that actually we are comfortable by leaning back into us. So this means that we know this higher us, this higher self, the soul, divinity, which is awakening up within us now more than ever, is already now, let's say, the driving force, the bigger plan, which we don't need to know in details. Because if we know, we are back in control. So it's actually more a constant in the now creation, but not creating anymore for, that you are gonna fill your pockets full of money and be now the best president of this planet, but it's creation for unity. And here we're speaking about the law of one. Okay, and the law of one is all above political laws. I don't know. All the laws basically are all the systems here on this planet, right? So it was like from health systems, school systems, all of those are actually not under the law of one like it should be, because then again it would serve the all, but it's of course not, as we know. I mean, that's nothing new I'm saying here. So it's really rather the most important, what I would share is to start to become comfortable in those new waves, because those waves will feel like you're losing basically really, the floor beneath your body, and like changing everything in the room, even it's there and the next moment it's not there, like you're saying, lucid dreams, etc. So it's more a training of this inner trust that it's okay, even I am not holding on to anything right now, because I can't, I'm not in control, like my mind isn't in control. But this doesn't mean that our mind will be just now switched off. No, it will just upgrade to the higher mind. And higher mind is also something I think not many people are speaking about it, because that's actually guidance, the divine intelligence is this information stream that's coming through the higher mind, right? And all of these polarities from the human self, higher self, will start to slowly merge. So the heart with the higher heart, the mind with the higher mind. So everything is actually upgrading, and not just because it sounds nice to say higher, right? But it's actually expansion. So we're going out of this old structure which the mind created, this reality, right?
Yeah, yeah, yes, to all of that, and I really enjoyed talking to those two sisters on Wednesday, and it all kind of happened. You know what I mean? Like it was such a powerful day. The shows were powerful. The content of the shows was powerful, and it felt to me like the 11th was really, I don't know, something really started, like I had enough. But I want to get back to what you were saying about the hoarding. I noticed something about myself over the last 2 days of meditation. Really, I think after those two shows, my soul said, "You're not going to do shows today. You're going to lay down," which is what happened.
Mhm.
And as part of my personal communion, what I was finding, because if anyone that knows me knows that I'm a risk taker, that I like thrills, that I'm not afraid, I'm pretty fearless. I don't care what people think, even though I care, but when I'm told to do something, I do it. And one of the words that came to me was, "You're about to do the boldest things you've ever done, bolder than anything you've ever done." And it wasn't about one particular thing, it was about a lifestyle, it was about a method of living. So
Mhm.
the things that happened beginning a week ago today for me, I believe,
Mhm.
because the other thing that I got, and this is normal for me, is that because they showed me like this void. It was a void like this cup. It was a circle, right, on the ground. It was a
Mhm.
circle, and we all came to the circle, and it was a black void, and it was the mother's womb. It was the heart, the seed of creation. And as she's told me,
Mhm.
I don't even know what that is. But you can only go through there in purity, unconditional love, pure intention, and have aligned your free will with universal will. So everybody was standing around, and there was like a plank, like a diving board, and and
Mhm.
and she said, "Well, someone's got to go first," and I said, "I'll go." Okay. So the reason I'm telling that story is because I feel like what you're talking about and what others have talked about, particularly a few sisters that have come on the show, my
Mhm.
partners talked about it, that this getting used to this new energy is going to take us through the end of March, just past the solstice, and then after that, we're going to start creating in a whole different way. But I think between now and then, there's still some stripping to be had, and I think I'm experiencing that now. So my point is, over the last day of meditation and so on, even though I'm fearless or whatever, I realized I was carrying an air of lack, security, survival. Okay? Because last Friday, I lose my phone. And when I lost my phone, I knew that was it. I'm not getting it back. And I said, okay. And then my only card that I can get money out of a machine, it stopped working because it's been used so much. So now I don't have it. So now I don't have any way to get cash. In Mexico, you need cash. I don't have my phone. I have my internet, my Skynet, and that's all I need, right? But my point is it took me to a place of personal thought where I started to realize, wait a minute, you do concern yourself with how am I going to pay this and how am I going to pay that? It's all got to go now. It's all really got to go. And so, 14 years ago at this time, I was walking on the streets, living on the streets by my own choice. And that's the kind of vibration it was. It wasn't about where am I going to be tomorrow? How am I going to make? It was living every day and letting it unfold in total faith. And I guess the last thing I want to say is I think you're 100% correct, but I also feel that it's not going to be just we flip a switch. I think you said that. We just flip a switch and everything's fine. I think we're all going to have to go through our own personal letting go, and that's not for the faint of heart, but we have the soul capacity and the virtues of the soul to do it. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. Because I work so much with different clients, and I have to say that, of course, everyone is in a different position of this consciousness journey, of this ascension journey. And that's exactly what you just now said, that, of course, it cannot everyone all at the same experience. Even if they would come overnight, suddenly a big solar flash, still everyone would experience it different, because one did a lot of inner work. One is still holding on to fear, one not. I mean, it's really different, right? But the most important here is, and it's still not the new year beginning, because the new year is always beginning with spring. That's something as well with the Gregorian calendar, right? So you're right. It is still the energy is kind of the tail from that 25, from that kind of snake and all of that, right? Even, okay, we're going to overlap it a bit now with the fire horse, but still it was a shedding year, a massive, very fast accumulating transformational year, because the 9 was also presenting, hey, it's our chance now for collective evolution. It's here now as well about not just individual we are awakening, but as well source creator. Nature knows it's always a cycle that at some point we have to go to the next one, because that's the nature, the law of evolution, right? With a flower, with anything, it's like a certain circle, and then we continue to the next one, right? And this evolution is so important to understand that, hey, okay, it's not just me now here awakening and facing my fears, etc., but actually you are, with doing that, so massively changing the whole structure outside in the whole collective field. So it's so much bigger still than everyone thinks. I'm just having my problems with money or with survival or with anything. Actually, we are birthing this new earth through our physical body right now, each of us. And if we understand that with our understanding, with our brain, that we're doing that, then you will not see it anymore like, oh my God, there's some ascension symptoms going on, and I have here some pain or I have here anxiety, but it's actually we are here on this planet transmuting this old information which held together the old 3D world. So because we are cracking it, and we are cracking it from inside out, and actually expanding to this next version of Gaia, which is Mother Earth, which is already actually there. She is already there in this higher vibrational field. And I just have to jump a little bit. But today, when I was outside and just, again, laying on the ground or on the floor and connecting, because I was also feeling what's up with my, not solar plexus, but more like diaphragm, like in that area, kind of a bit higher maybe. And she was saying like something completely I never even considered. And again, I'm a quantum healer, channeler. I see since my early age, but this was completely new for me. That she said that we always forget, like we humans, to compare our bodies with the earth, with the planet, what's going on, because it's exactly the same. And this pain or this weird feeling I had there, she said, like, yes, that's one of the inner entrances to the inner hollow world, to the inner earth. And it was blocked, and it's now starting to unblock, and we will feel many different sensations with our bodies when they're gonna start. I'm gonna bring it in, I don't know, opening Antarctica, opening here, opening there, because that's equals to our body, and suddenly there will be new energies, so much more potent energies, like pumping through our body. We will be like, oh my God, what is this? And it's actually coming from you, from the dormant places within our body. So it's
Yeah.
like, oh wow. Yeah.
Uh, the two sisters Wednesday, they talked about this a little bit too. And you're talking about it now, so there's got to be a reason. What I'm hearing, is talking about the relationship between the body, the earth, the body, the universe, as within, without, in a way that we haven't before. Now, we've talked about the bodies transforming from carbon-based to crystalline or light body. We've talked about the healings that have taken place with more frequency over the years. We've talked about the fact that our people are starting to source from themselves now. That seems to be part of it. And we've also talked, I know we've talked on the show a lot about how, look, I'm 64 Earth years. We know that calendar doesn't work, and that doesn't apply to me. I'm just giving an example. I had lower
Very
back
young.
I had lower I had lower back problems for 20 years, a really bad one, really bad. And then as I woke up, my body started to rehabilitate, and it's continued to do that. And I've talked to other people as well. One of the ladies that was on Wednesday, my dear sister, she's had some very serious problems, way worse than mine. And after that show, she was having some decompression and some realignment in the physical. So my point is this. The reality is, yes, everything is coming from us. These things that come from outside of us are not working anymore, whether it be a government, whether it be a podcast, whether it be a lecture, whether it be, everything is coming into ourselves or coming from ourselves. But realizing it, it's not that easy. It's not like we can just go, hey, you can go do it yourself now. We've been doing this. We've been teaching each other. We've been exchanging code. But when I went to the beach last night and I put my feet in the ground, in the sand, there was two things that were really weird last night. One, there was nobody on the beach. There wasn't one person on the beach. I've never had that happen before. I put my hands on the trees. The trees told me to go stand in this circle. I stand in the circle near the water, and put your hands up in the air, straight up in the air, and dig your feet in the sand. And the exercise was meant to create a uniform channel from the center of the earth through, like the middle of a toroidal field. And the message was the message was, and there was a bunch of bird activity, and there was, this is crazy. And
That's
anytime
all
there's,
normal.
anytime there, I know, right? Anytime there's a really significant moment on the beach, I can't say that, but many of the times, I'll see a white animal. So I've been getting visited by these two white birds, and they speak to me about masculine, feminine, and they show me different things. Well, last night, as I'm standing there with my arms in the air, and this is crazy. These two totally white dogs run up to me. They look identical to each other. They don't have a collar on, and they just come and sit by me. I'm standing there, and they just sit there like they're my pets or something. But these are the type of signs, and this is the type of communication from the external, or what we present to ourselves from ourselves, because that's really what happens, right? I
Yes.
created those two dogs. I created the birds, so on. These are the kind of things that this is how we're going to operate. It's going to, like you said, it's not going to be anything like it has been, and it's changing very, very quickly. Very quickly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that this beautiful story that actually you created them, of course, and it's getting now faster and faster. Anything that we're gonna really set in motion with the intention is gonna be now an instant. So thinking in a little human way is actually what will shock many, because they still perceive themselves, I am just this little human, I have a job, I work, I have no money, whatever, and there's an animal, etc. But this is what is cracking, because we see the divinity within ourselves. Okay? So this means the divinity is what needs to be here accepted, right? And that's the hard part, because when I had, am I lagging or is it good?
No, you're good.
Is it right? Okay. So I think the whole 2 weeks now, I'm getting constantly the same information, that why is it so hard to receive this light in our bodies, like that you get in shock. Of course we can say we are not used to it, and it's having these weird feelings, but no, there is more behind it. And when I was like getting back actually into communication with source creator, it was like really this information that we are not feeling. And I'm talking again, not just now me, but in general, many people are not feeling worthy. Okay. So they don't feel their own worth. And I'm saying now the worth can be now, I'm not feeling that I'm anyone, or I don't feel that I have enough if I compare myself, or I actually don't know how to nourish myself. So there are many layers of what means to have a worth. And if I can feel that I'm like worthy, then I can start to let go and actually forgive was the topic. I forgive that I think that I'm not worthy of divinity, because that's how they trained us. They trained us that you are sinners. You all have sins. You all have some lacks, right? So, and that's how we were presented, like to each other, that you are having missing parts. So you are actually even not worthy to talk about here, about a god or source or universe and so on. And that's actually that block from that mind who still thinks that it's not worthy to actually anchor in divinity. And it's not even anchoring in, but allowing it to open up and present itself through you. And that's the soul. That's when the soul will really come online and talk and express itself, and everyone will feel that there's a certain light and energy. So it won't be anymore just you as this identity who was always putting a program on for the show, etc. But you're gonna allow and just be present in the room, and everyone will just feel it. And that's the divinity coming online. And it's really important to understand that many are feeling not worthy of the divine they actually are. That's some really important information
Yeah,
here.
yeah. I mean, like you said, though, that's been part. That's been, you know, a seed of the distortion. Through religion, through government. Government's got to take care of you. Religion's going to tell you how to clean your soul, and you know. So it's been there the whole time. And you're bringing up a really good point, and I get what you're saying. What you're saying is that we all need to be considerate of this reality, this challenge of worthiness, this worthiness that's coming online within us. Because it's going to have some trembling in the human being. You know, you know, I was told at the end of, well, 2 solstices back, the 2024 solstice, came out of the solstice, and I was told, all of you are not swimming against the current anymore. You're not swimming, it's not coming against you. It's going with you now. But it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while to figure out how this works because we're so used to having bad things happen. I mean, look at what just happened to me as an example: losing my phone, being in a country, having these, I can't get money, whatever. But it never brought me down. So it's not just me. I understood the signs and I said, okay, I get this. Okay, I get this. So I'm having visions at 64 years old, like what I was doing 14 years ago, walking on the streets every day, but walking all the way across Mexico into the United States. Or like, what if the electricity goes out? Like, what if the internet goes out? You know, these things that really make you look at simplifying. Everything simplifies because then you realize it's about your not only your love for your neighbor but for yourself. It's that whole thing, right? Like, you know, if you look back at some of these catastrophes that have occurred, the floods in Australia 2 or 3 years ago, the hurricanes in the United States, earthquakes around the world. People in those times start working together and start coming together. And as a result of, and I could see it in this environment that I'm in here, this town is essentially 5D. It's you know, friendly dogs and friendly people, and there's no police, and there's no crime, and there's no one fighting and yelling and everything. You walk through the
No
streets,
police.
right? And
Good.
then, but you know what I mean? This is bigger than all of us. We're all part of this. We're all here to experience this, and we have, are, and will be experiencing this. But somehow or another, our personal heart and mind integration or alignment or lack of alignment or whatever you want to call it is so new that it's going to take a conscious effort by each one of us without judgment, with compassion and love for ourselves and everyone else, because this is no easy thing. This isn't for the faint of heart. This isn't for,
No, it's not.
and let me just say the last thing. Every one of us is a valiant warrior, a valiant soul, a valiant alchemist, magician, angel, priestess. I mean, every one of us that showed up here on earth at this time, you don't get invited unless you've earned it. Even if you volunteer to come, you have to have earned it. And we're earning something. We're doing some big work here now.
Amen on that.
Hey, you keep talking. I got to turn the stove off before I burn the house down.
Okay. So yes, it's indeed a very, very big struggle for the mind, actually, for this ego construct, because the ego wanted to have everything under control and wanted it have this perfection. And that's exactly what you said before, that, for example, you lost your phone, or you didn't come on time on your show, or something was different that you planned, and then suddenly the ego would think you did something wrong, or the expectation was a different one. And imagine now how much effort it took for thousands of years, that we were constantly trying something to make work, to hold together, to bring it, I don't know, online, to do this, to do that. So much effort that that's the point where humanity is right now feeling exhausted. Okay? So that's coming from that constant ego needing all to put together, and that you basically survived all that. Okay? That's the survival mechanism, and also actually now the wound, because it was saying, okay, you are not really living, you don't have enough stuff, and so on, and it made you constantly almost like that you are competing with an invisible, whatever, invisible trophy, like, that it's there but you can't reach it, but you have just to run constantly to get it. And what is actually as well, or came out from this conversation with God creator, was that that's the point when we are not involving, or we didn't for thousands of years involve in every moment, every action, every choice, every movement, divinity, because we were not anymore operating from it. We were then indeed feeling like this little seed who is fighting against Goliath here on this planet. And then God said, basically, yes, when you bring that online again, that's the moment when you go with the stream, because divinity is carrying you, because this bigger field, unified field, divine intelligence, perfection plan, you don't even need to think about it. You just are a part of it and moving with it as it. Then suddenly, oh my God, how can it feel so easy, so smooth, so even joyful? And then, like you said, the inner, or that mind, or that ego construct will say, I don't need to fight anymore, but what should I do then? And suddenly all this effort, all this constant moving, when we almost like, you just want to then basically really give up, because it's enough. It's enough. We can't do that anymore. Then starts, of course, the phase like you think it's done, like it's the end. But that's the beginning then of this kind of, I don't want to just say surrender, but having the, that you're noticing that, okay, maybe there is then something, because, oh, I'm still alive. Oh, actually, I didn't die. Or, oh, someone still smiled to me. So it's not then that bad. And suddenly you're getting onto this, okay, I'm now plugged in, and there is this bigger field now, or source, or creator, or divinity, where I can now start to learn to collaborate with it. So it's always me. How fast or how much can I really let go that something much, much more bigger, which was always creating everything and not just now me, can really take the lead for that. And we have now really that blessing that this is happening now, no matter how everything looks. Like you said, that's just distraction. I'm not even really looking at that anymore. I mean, I'm noticing, but yeah, I'm rather staying in my peace. And that we can see now this blessing will actually take us into this next, that there is not anymore need that suffer for growth, right? We really extended it now completely, all the colors of it, but that we don't need anymore really to experience, to be in such low point, but that we just wake up to the fact that you're not just a human, not just a vessel, but really actually this divinity soul, which is a soul spark of the all, is coming online again. Yes.
Yes to all that, and in a big yes to to look, two things, and I was given this, but I know other people are saying it. You just said it. I was just given this in the last couple of days. That, in other words, I would be like, okay, well then how can I make this go with more ease and grace? Or what advice can you give me, you know? And it was, first of all, you don't know anything. You really don't know anything. And second of all, you don't need to know. The need to know, the need to explain, and here we're doing a talk show, but I mean, this is a transition, right? We're talking about what does the other side look like, or what does it look like as we get closer and closer to that other side, as we go across this bridge. It's telepathy. It's universal. It's a universal communication template that involves the animals, the wind, the stars. I mean, for 2 weeks, I've been going out to the island. I go out to the beach every night. And 2 weeks ago, Pleiades, which I couldn't see with my eyes, starts talking to me. And then it's Aldebaran, and then it's Orion, and then there's all this other information. Now, this isn't normal. I'm hearing cats, dogs, birds. In order for these things to come online, which they will, whether you want to fight it or not, okay?
Yes.
We don't need to know how it works. I told the birds last night, because I've struggled with the birds. I hear them by their movements and by their sounds, you know. I'm talking chirping, but that's not the human language. So last night I asked them, I said, I want to hear you. And I just kind of heard, well, you are hearing us. I'm like, well, with words. You don't need to know that. You don't need to know that way. So how can you have these levels of communication that are happening more and more rapidly, from everything from the stars to the wind to the water to the land to the birds, the cats, the dogs, and 2 horses that live around the corner? How can this be happening? And I guess the answer I got ultimately was, don't worry about how it's happening. Just understand that as you open up to it, you will understand more and more and more. It operates off of this neutrality, but not neutrality like right and wrong, even though that's part of it. But it operates off this 0 point, soul highway, middle ground, where you're relaxed. You don't have expectations. You're in harmony and operating mutually with everything around you. And it's no longer, that's a bad person or that's a bad thing. It's more you're seeing the other side of it. I walked to the town last night and I was tired. I got knocked out by the energy, and I walked to the town to get some water, and lo and behold, they have there's only, the main street, and there's a road on each side. They call it the Avenida, and they had blocked it all off. There were men on horses standing around. There was people put up chairs, and there was young children dancing, performing, throwing batons. There was, the food, you could smell it, the smile. I mean, it was that.
Celebration.
It was that.
Celebration.
Yeah. It's like my soul's told me as I take walks out here sometimes, and I would be in my mind, my lower mind. It'd say, wait, stop right here, look around. What do you see? And I'd say, oh my God. And then my soul would say, this is you. And this is how it works. Everything outside of you is a reflection of you and a message from you to yourself. That's really how it works, And so I see it like we're all like these spheres, like these circles in this flower of life. And our field is doing that. Our field is not this body. That's part of this liberation. It's this field around us, And we all have it. And the last thing is, I had an incident last night at the end of my communion on the beach. I was standing there, and I was in my own world, and that's the only time anyone showed up on the beach. And 2 men started walking towards me. Now it's dark, right? And you always got to keep your eyes open, but I'm not going to be in fear and all that stuff. I'm giving this as an example. And as they're walking up, I can see that they're kind of looking at me. So instead of like grabbing my sandals and leaving, I just stood there and I became my field. And rather than put up protection, I just became aware of my sphere of the field of my existence, right? The energy of it all, and how it bonded with everything around it. How I didn't see that as something foreign, but I just had my field there, and it was kind of like the way the soul works. And the way the soul works is I don't interfere with you. You don't interfere with me. I don't come into your space unless invited, or I ask and you invite me. You know, it's that type of energy. It's staying in your own lane. So my point is I'm not saying they were up to something bad, but there was a lot of places to stand instead of next to me and kind of looking at me, right? So I don't know. I just feel like that what we're being asked to do, and it starts with disavowing ourselves from the church or the state or this customer, that customer, paying taxes, but it ends with how we operate each step that we take moment by moment, and
Yes.
not having to know, because if we don't have to know, then we can be more aware of what we're looking at and what we're being offered, and then we can start to make choices that are in higher and higher alignment. I think it's happening. I think it's happening a lot, and I think that's the reason there's so much distortion and stuff being put out there, is to keep that story from being told. Your story, everyone's story here about the personal development, transformation, and empowerment that's occurring, and this has never been done. You know what I mean? And imagine too, and I've talked to a few people, and it's happening to me, that they're gaining memories of not just galactic, but other life forms, other intelligence that they gathered in their lifetimes, and then the whole and how the pieces all kind of go together as one big life, as opposed to just this life. You know, so there's a lot of intelligence there. You know, don't be surprised if you start talking to rocks. Don't be surprised if you. I would highly recommend the trees, because the trees have so much information, as well as the ocean. But yeah. So it's a real game changer, and it's not fluffy love and light and new age bullshit. By the way, this is the real thing. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I just loved it because I could not just listen, but feel you, and feeling that being safe to just show yourself whatever emotion you're right now going through. And that's also something to not hold back and to modulate it because you're now here a host and here is a guest and this and that. But it's like really that you felt safe. That's what I felt mostly with while you were talking, that you can just express this emotion, what is coming up. And that's also what is really happening with going into the new world, into the new earth frequency, or this more unified consciousness field of this next experience, human experience, is through feeling. And that's why the heart is so important now. And again, we will not exclude any part of us, not the mind, because it is still as well an operation center, which we are just upgrading, because it was so for such a long time in a separated version away from the heart, and that suddenly it felt like it's just operating on its own and not coherent with the love one, with the soul and all of that. And what I want to say here is really that allowing yourself to feel will open up all of these communication streams. Oops. All of them. All of them. So this means animals, trees, cosmic beings, Gaia, etc., and so on. So the moment we will allow, or people, humans, men, women, children will allow to drop more into that feeling, because before it was actually even not a great thing to feel because then you were weak, or this is something fluffy, we don't feel, come on, be serious, get your stuff together. So all what was regarding feeling was almost like, put onto that black book, like, we don't do that, right? Or do it in silence or in darkness where nobody's watching. But that's the key. That's the key where the connection to source is, to soul is, and the entrance to the new earth experience. Again, not to forget what is happening outside. You are broadcasting from the inside. So how will you broadcast this new earth experience? By shifting through this, from this lower human heart, I will say now, heart chakra, into the higher, because higher has no limitation. It is not conditioned love. It's actually, I don't like to use the word unconditional love, because love was never unconditional or conditional. It was just love. But we made it through our actions and reactions and expectations. Then, this is now conditioned or this is unconditioned. But just to say, when you can more allow yourself to feel, and which part will be hard to allow yourself to feel, because we're gonna firstly start to see the truth, and we will see your own fear. We will see, I'm here insecure. I will see, I don't know, that I've been whatever, a greedy person, or I've been closed, or this and that. And it will firstly bring you into a shock. And that's the self realization where we will then, or humans will judge themselves. Ego will feel exposed and will feel bad for all what it was doing in an unconscious way, or in a conditioned way, or in a broken way. But that's the point when I said before, the forgiveness. And the forgiveness, not that you've been a sinner, but that you can forgive your unconscious parts which you experience, to now just embrace them in the divinity which you are. So that's actually the slow progress of what is happening. So this awakening will show you all those parts, all those suppressions, all this anger, and it will not be nice to see it. We don't like, ego don't like to confess or admit things. No, I'm pure, I'm good, I'm clean, I'm the best, I'm so awesome.
Which in
But
order, yeah.
what if this kind of pain which you suppressed or put the mask on, that the world will not see, is actually also your awesome aspect, because you had just an experience of it, but you in the duality been told this is good and this is bad, so you constantly chosen just certain parts, and certain you covered up. That's not me, and I will never be that. And we cannot go into a unified field, which is, you have to become whole if you want to keep going. So you can't bypass that. So this means that, of course, you have to firstly look deeply into yourself. And that's the raw awakening, especially for the ego, especially for the, I will say it now, not men or women, but for the masculine energy, which was the active controller, not the passive, right? So it will be hard. And I have already seen that in many clients now, also some male, not easy, because exposing self and be suddenly vulnerable, that everyone sees that maybe you're not just the perfect man who have all on time, on point, and this and that. It's then self-judgment, right? And that's the judgment day, that God will not judge you. It's just your ego, which was programmed through culture, religion, and all to be judged then, that you're judging yourself, because otherwise you would never even call yourself, these are my sins, or this is my darkness. It's just something which was suppressed, and it wants to come alive and back into the unified field.
Yes, yes. I think that's a great explanation about it's not male or female, it's masculine.
Yeah.
We have both the conditioned male, the condition. I mean, but we all have masculine and feminine. And like you said about love, there is no reason for unconditional love because there is only love. Well, there's only one masculine, there's only one feminine. And you're talking about is the characteristic that is in all of us. Because we have the feeling, we have the emotion, we have even if you're a man, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. And the active part in matter is the masculine. And we all do that. We do that every time we put a mask on, every time we have a prejudice or a bias. But here's the thing, I love what you're saying. Because, okay, for instance, it's very masculine, okay? I'm talking earth masculine, not male or female, to say, look what the government's doing. Look at what they're doing in secret space. Look what they're doing in Epstein Island. Look out there. Look out there. Look out there. Well, guess what? That's exactly what they fucking want you to do. Is to look out there. Look here, right? And so the other thing that happens is because, well, that's loud. Because we don't have to point it out anymore. Because what we're starting to realize is anything I have a problem with outside of me, it's inside of me. You know, all this stuff that looks so ugly and gross, and you can even see it in the light worker and starseed circles because I look at them every day. You can see the prejudices and the biases, and I told you so, I told you so, I told you so. That's that masculine you're talking about. And I will tell you this too. And every woman has it and every man has it. And I see it every day. I do these shows and I won't talk about, but I experience these things energetically. But the bottom line is we're the insight that we've identified with the feminine, which we call women's intuition, a connection to the higher chakras, to the higher dimensions. It's the same thing. Except for now, we turn it on ourselves. You see, we turn it on ourselves and we look at ourselves just as we've looked at things externally or we connected to or communicated with. So many of us have lived out there, but now it's in here. And that's crazy. It's crazy to say, I want to change the world, but you just work on yourself. You just be present with yourself. You just operate and allow the experience to unfold as you become more and more unified and aligned with it, and you see how it works. Oh my God, why did we ever do anything different, So I think this is a really big subject because many of the things that I like the way you put it, the masculine is the active part of us. Well, yes, that's the one that talks. That's the one that builds. That's the one that does propaganda and that tells stories, and we're all liars. Let me make that clear. Every one of us is a liar, okay? Let's make that clear. But liar is not even a part of us. That's part of those masks. Why do we do this? We tell these stories, and we tell them for so many years, we believe them ourselves. And this isn't just about us personally. This is about our government. This is about our religion. This is why so many people are having fits right now. But you know what? There is and I will say it's been led by the sisters, and we know this. And there's many brothers coming on board, and last time I talked to you was January the 9th, a 9/11 day, by the way, and I was telling you that in the 28 days after the solstice, and even before a little bit, I think it was the 15th, the demographics in Soulology for the first time ever shifted to 50% male, 50% female. Now it's moving a little bit, but it's always been like 90-10, 80-20, 70-30. So that was a sign of more people connecting, more congealing, more cohesiveness, coherence, however you want to put it, more souls that were conscious at the same level. Something happened, and I think that's the story that's not being told. The story that's not being told are the vast number of sisterhoods around the world, brothers coming online now, that are not being affected. They're less and less inclined to watch the Epstein stuff and watch this and watch that. And if they do, they're doing it for information, and they're not carrying a charge. There is no bad guy here. The only bad guy here is our own perception of ourself. And we all know how this works because we project it on everybody else. Like you said, the ego is perfect and the ego is good. And well, how does the ego maintain that identity? By comparing itself to all these other people who are not as good as you. And it's your partner, it's your mother, it's your father, it's your children, it's your brothers, it's your sisters, it's your friends, your enemies, your bosses, your employees, your neighbors. Hey, you said it at the beginning. And we know these things, but it's like we're learning at a higher level now. It's about this. It's about my love for myself. Ultimately, you call it worthiness, but it's about the love that I have for myself. That's where I go to the beach every night, because there is a direct relationship between how much I love myself. I cannot love the universe more than I love myself. And I cannot love myself more than I love the universe. Somebody prove me wrong. And if you want to use the word God, use the word God. Because if you feel that there is a force outside of you that essentially has dominion over you, then this is the way the whole realm was constructed. This is not something that we can understand. I'm just the drop in the ocean, but I'm the ocean too. That's God. That means, like you said, we're all an aspect of it. But, that's really what it's come down to. Being honest, and you described it earlier, like the shock to the ego. Oh, my God, I've been greedy. Oh, my God, I've been like this. Man, one of the best things that we could do for ourselves, but as a result for each other and the other playmates that we've had, is to speak that truth. Hey, Dijon, I have been rude, or I did this. And not to fall on the sword like a martyr, but to admit it, to speak it into truth and existence and the physicality. That's one of the greatest things I believe that we could do for each other, for ourselves. But that's the thing. And the last thing I'll say is, somehow or another, and I don't understand the math or the geometry or the language, but I'm learning a little bit every day because it's part of the transition. As that love for myself grows, the two white dogs walk up to me, the two birds perform for me, the birds in the trees talk to me and tell me, you need to go sit over there tonight. The lights flicker on. I had a fireball 3 nights in a row. And the first time and the second time, I'm like, well, maybe that's a coincidence. The third night I'm out there in Orion and Aldebaran and Pleiades and even Venus came in. And then I'm like, wow, this is, but maybe I'm imagining it. You know how we do that, right? And then all of a sudden, the same fireball that came the 2 previous nights came from the same place, and then it got really close to my face. I mean, it's in the sky, but it was big. I'm looking around, and nobody's looking at it. And then it delivered its message, and then it backed up into the upper horizon, and it disappeared. Now, what I'm saying is, the more we experience this greater and greater appreciation, awareness, and love for ourselves, everything matches you. You hear more, you see more, and if you think that you're being shown things right now that you couldn't see because of your ego, which is really lack of love, right? Just wait, because they're going to keep coming and keep coming and keep coming, but they will get softer and softer and softer because we will resist it less and less. And I do believe we're going to have a point now where we do start to share these things with each other. And we've done this before. We've done some of this before. I
Yes.
know I've talked to a lot of light workers over the last few years. I know it happened to me. I was estranged from my mother for 6 years, my father for 8 years, my brother for 9 years, and I made peace with them. And it wasn't bullshit.
Mm.
It wasn't bullshit. It was respect, honor, love. You know what I mean? So even people that are not in these circles that we think, well, they don't get it or they said I was crazy, they're getting it too. They're getting it
Mm-hmm.
too. They just looks different.
All of them. Exactly. Ah, beautiful. I'm just like laughing inside because every time you say it, I would just the moment say it too, but then you already say it. So I can just smile to it. Like, okay,
Well, that's
my
how this.
voice
That's
is
how it works, though, right? That's how it works, right?
exactly, exactly. But it's just beautiful because that's it. More we can be in that love, more you can see that you really don't need to fear anymore that you have something less than someone else. Because that's the point that only there we're gonna really meet each other equal, because there is not anymore that fight I was talking about, that the ego wanted to be in that battlefield, better, higher, further, I don't know, more glorious, etc., and so on. And of course we understand it brought division, but as well it brought that it became very lonely. So even if these people, or all of us at some point, had these moments of glorious and you felt a bit above some others, etc. At some point, you then more and more saw that they turned away. So suddenly you had to experience that actually it isn't a lonely road. You're more and more incubating yourself in this ego construct. So it's not only that you have all this control, but actually you are making yourself a prisoner in that one little cube or in this prison, where then really nobody can anymore, I don't know, talk to you or relate to you, because you know better, you're higher, you're this, and there is not the link through the heart, where only through there we have the strings, where we are that in that unified field. We don't have it through our brain, our mind, our vision, right? Because there everyone can create and see something else, but from here there's only feeling, and that feeling is actually not possible to corrupt, because you are feeling it, you're not putting a label onto it, because it's just feeling, it's not word which you translate. And that's why it's beautiful as well when we come to light language. Every single person knows light language. It becomes something when you're even born as this baby. When you say ma, pa, ta, and all of that stuff, that's already light language. It's, you think, oh, the baby can't speak yet, and it will almost say this one word, but actually it's speaking the frequency from the heart already. And that's the unified language through all the universal spaces, is actually that one vibration, that one tone, that one musical orchestra, when we're just vibrating. And that's when you were vibrating at the beach, and suddenly, oh, I can, feel the vibration back from, I don't know, Orion, from the Pleiadians, from these dogs, and so on. Because everything will start to respond, not through your amazing words and I don't know, cockiness, etc., because you're so smart, but through your vibration. And it's just going to be like this pulse, just like a pulse. And that's as well what Mother Gaia was speaking, I don't know, at some session some time ago. And she said, it's this one pulse which you couldn't hear anymore. And because you couldn't hear, you were not coherent anymore. And you were almost like living, in a distorted way with nature. But when you just plug back and you just feel her pulse, and you just, pulsating, that's life. And that's when you become again coherent with this whole beautiful perfection, which you don't need to know all the little dots in a whole clockwork. It's perfectly working together as this unified field. And it's coming from, let's say now, if we look outside, from universal star constellation, to inside nature, roots, trees, all the mushrooms and all of this. Everything is like then interconnected there by this perfection of her pulse. Okay. And when I was, I don't know, going with the group into the inner earth, and we also connected with her heart, she was showing me that actually from there, from this pulse, the tree of life is growing and growing. And this is then, of course, growing through us, but as well into all of it. And when you just notice in nature that even in the little plants, all the fibers and all, everywhere you could say they're kind of roots, when you really look at the patterning and so on. So that's the point, because they all are connected in that way. And we just thought, oh, we are, just walking around and being basically really, in a way, disconnected and not at all in this nourishment of Gaia. And when you feel that love, oh my goodness, it's like a whole paradise here, really, beneath that kind of construct showing us, it's a terrible world and this and that. I mean, it's just brush it off. That's the illusion. And tune into this frequency again. Feel her, feel the pulse. And her tree of life is going all the way till basically source creation through all the mother layers. I'm as well. I mean, I didn't tell you that yet, but with my groups, I'm almost every time we're going to the cosmic mother womb of creation, almost every time. And I know her very well. And it's actually this plasma, like this water where she's creating. But this first one is actually which our universe was created with all of the beautiful creation. But then it's the next universe and the next. So it's like not stopping there, okay? But we are now crossing as well. We're going to as well change the operation system, that it won't be anymore just from this universe. I'm starting to speak faster. That's why I know it's like download, but it's already going into the next octave of universe. And that's what I mean, that we are then having a new field from where we're pulling in new information, new potential, because it's the same. You're doing the same, outcome the same. You're having the same inputs, you're gonna have the same outcome. So this means you need really to plug into new potential, to create new stuff, to have new ideas, to have new outcomes. So that's why actually it's opening this new harmonious field now for all of us. So the harmony, the octave is changing, and we are in the middle of it. And also one thing, because it's such a beautiful story, I mean, a real story. When I was, I think it was 4 years ago, around Glastonbury there in England, and I was in the car, and all of a sudden, um, Great Mother Gaia was coming in, and I never ever felt this energy before, because it was actually not her herself, like when you feel now at the beach and feeling the energy, but it was her higher aspect already. So I channeled that through my physical body. So I was it, every single fiber. And I was like crying, and I touching my face, and I was like channeling her words. And she was saying that she never birthed herself before. And that's what we are going to do now. We're going to birthing ourselves as the next new version in physicality. And when I looked at her with my inner eye then, how she looked like, she was young. And she said yes, because the youth, everything what you understood till now, that we are aging and breaking apart and this and that, is coming from that lack. I'm lacking, I don't know, minerals. I'm lacking this and that, and my bones are falling apart, and I'm old. That's all just, again, programming from this reality, the body which was programmed. But now we are as well reprogramming even physicality, that what people will call, or doctors will call, miracles, etc. is actually what is our ability and even birthright as a creator being, as a God spark, as divinity in this, as soul, as body, as that body, that you can manage and actually create anything. And that's also something I never ever stuck to, that, you know, when you're as old, you look like that, because I mean, 51, and people also don't believe me, stuff like that, because not, you know, to prize myself, but just to say it's all about that belief. And I'm here completely from early age, a messenger for that, to share that, this belief of that there is source, that there is light, that there is miracle, that there is this beautiful paradise. I know that since actually my birth. I came here to remind constantly others of it. And even like you said before, it was a tough one, because then you've been like, you know, she's crazy, she's dreamy, she's this and that, you know, whatever. I knew we are the forerunners, and forerunners is never easy, because there is no comparison. If there's no comparison, why would they believe you, right? They just know what they know. So, and that's what I mean, that it's like this rebirth of beautiful Gaia, that she really was even telling me, like it was her first time. She was in awe of her own self, that she was birthing her next version. And yeah, and that's how really expensive all of this is. It's not, like you said, coming back to 3D reality, not the Epstein stuff, not this and that, because again, it's just looking at yourself, what we all created out of lack and distortion of not high consciousness. And that's the results of it. If you don't create from pure heart, of course, it will be distorted things and situations and visions and realities out there. And that's how we were creating, from actually a disconnected heart space. Okay, at least the majority of it. Okay. And now, I mean, imagine if you're plugging into almost like this eternal source, yeah, this holy grail, it's like overflowing. And then you will not like need to be even anymore in greed and to hoard it and to be scared to lose it, because it's an overflow of it, an overflow of it. So it sounds all beautiful, but trust me, it is actually very simple. And because the wired mind of the ego and all that is actually more complicated, it's almost sounding too easy. And that's why it never really went there. Like to just, okay, so I just need to believe in this. No, you need to feel and see that it's already here. So it's all really about this feeling. That's actually the bridge. You cannot think yourself into the new earth experience. You have to feel yourself into that. Then you're plugged in.
Yeah, that's very true. And we were talking. God, that was incredible. That was a sermon. That was great. We were talking about that a couple of days ago. Now some of the physical science is starting to show, and not that that's important because it's not,
Mhm.
but that the heart has a neuron network, has a neural network that has the same characteristics as we apply to the brain. And I just want to say,
Mhm.
like, when I woke up 14 years ago, 15 years ago, and they gave me the word soulology, that was how it started, right?
Mhm.
And I said, "What does this mean?" And they said, "The other side of truth." And then I said, "Well, what is that?" And they said, "It is the heart and mind of spirit. I am soul is the heart and mind of spirit." So what that meant to me was that both operate together, but you have the lower and the higher mind, the lower and the higher heart, but really you have the essence of those two aligned to come in and have and become one, another Trinity, right? The spirit, the heart, and mind.
Mhm.
So, like, and what you're talking about too is as we there's so many different ways to cover what you talked about. It's so important. I think a big part of it is allowing it to come through. First of all, let me just go back. There's certain things that we can do, and we're still doing them, and we're still letting go of them, and it's not been easy, but it's getting better. Just understand, no one is going to be right. That's the ego. If you got a problem with something outside there, you got a problem with yourself. Because if I'm judging something out here, now I might put you on a pedestal. Now I'm already out of balance because my ego doesn't feel worthy. Or I might think, as most of us do, oh, that person doesn't know what they're talking about. They're asleep. Well, guess what? You're a narcissist. We're all a narcissist, just like we're all liars. If I take a judgment that the Christians or the Muslims or any of these things, any of them, galactics, history, or any of these things, if I take a stance that they're no good, another ethnicity, you know what I mean? I'm being superior. So no one is right. Get it through your fucking head, okay? There's something that's unified within us all, and it's just like you said about love. There is no such thing as unconditional love. It's just love. Well, guess what? It's the same with truth. And you know what I mean? And so I think the other thing to revisit here too is because we've spent so much time on the other side. And the other side being, as you were saying, all this stuff that we all of us created, okay? And I'm talking about from a soul perspective, okay? I'm talking about from the soul perspective. I understand if your boots on the ground and this people did this and this people did that. I get that. There's a difference. I understand that. But we're here to transform all polarities and to realize that the 0-point field isn't 2 inches wide. It's the whole spectrum. It's just how we see things, because the way you explained it is so perfect, because it's how we see things. So it's not about, look, how did we overcome fluoride, GMOs, chemtrails, programming, you name it? How did nanobot technology put in the physical body? It's not those elements. They haven't killed us. You know why? Because they can't hurt us. You know why? Because it's our belief that they can. That's what it runs off of. I'll give you another story. When I went to the beach the other night, right around the time 𝓖𝓪𝓫 started talking, which was a first for me. I went out there and they start showing me all this stuff. 2 or 3 nights they show me all this stuff, and I said, look, you know that I don't believe in astrology. And the mother's like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, I'm not going to allow the stars, because of where they're placed and this and that, to have control of me, to have dominion over me, to be more powerful than me. And then it was kind of like, I'm just making it in English words, but it was kind of like, well, how have you dealt with things like that in the past? Like the moon. Like the moon, is it artificial? Is it not artificial? Have you made peace with it? Yes, I have. And we work as equals, regardless of whether it's artificial or not, doesn't matter. So they basically took me through this whole process and said, so in other words, you haven't merged with the stars. You haven't unified with it. You have this belief system that it might have power over you, or you're not going to give it to them. You're putting up a boundary. Well, boundaries, by the way, people don't work in oneness and unity consciousness. There are no boundaries because nobody encroaches on anyone else, like we were talking earlier. So basically what happened was they said, yes, you are from above the stars. You are from above the construct. You are from above the universe, from above, so to speak, from all the universes. Okay? But you can't get there. You can say it, you can know it, but you can't feel it. You can't feel it until you merge with us. Whoa, dude. Like I was like, whoa. And then they're like, oh, don't you know you did that with the cats this summer? Don't you know you did it with the horses earlier? Don't you know you're doing it with these dogs? Oh, is it the same thing? Yeah. You're not looking at them as different as you. I remember these 2 cats this summer I was taking care of. And they told me, they said, it was funny. They said, can you give a message? Because I was house sitting, pet sitting. And I never talked to animals like this before. Right? And they were there with me, a male and a female. And I went through a huge change on June the 1st. which was 14 years to the day that I went for a huge change, the first huge change. But they came in, and so they started talking to me, and just like you would with a apparition, just like you would with a consciousness or an energy. And so what happened was they said to me, can you tell our owner when they get back to stop looking at us like what she thinks we are, and to start looking and treating us like souls. And then we will give her information and blah, 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 blah. It really made me open my eyes up. It really made me open my eyes up, because people will say, well, I can't do that and I can't do that. And I've done it too, believe me. Believe me, I was told about trees 15 years ago. It was the first thing they told me was in my wake up was about trees. I'm like, I don't understand. What am I supposed to do? Be a tree hugger? Like, do I just... So I had a whole evolution in my connection with trees. And the whole time they were talking to me, and I was getting it. But there were moments that I said, I can't hear you. But it wasn't them that I couldn't hear. I was too much going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Trying to analyze.
Yeah. But just going back to this whole belief system, beliefs. Because what do? We no matter who we are, if you're still in this body, we're still doing the work, right? So if I have a belief system that I realize is no longer... That somebody lied in it, or that doesn't add up, then what do? I go get another one, a bigger one that encompasses that one, and a bigger one that encompasses that one. That's how this whole game is rigged. It's by the power of suggestion. Can 5G hurt you? Can 6G hurt you? Can if you believe it can? And have you ever gone face to face with that which you were afraid of, which is what we're doing, right? We're stepping through these fears. You can say it so many different ways, but my point is, it's what we believe. And I was told when I woke up, look up the word faith. You know how you get the downloads, and then they'll be like, go look it up. So give me the word faith. I look it up. The first definition's a noun. The second one is a transitive verb, which speaks to motion, right? And it said, to trust and believe. Okay? And I never forgot that. But at the same time, like I said, I'm just going to conclude it now. We spend a lot of time on the GMOs and the chemtrails, and this is happening in the Vatican, and those people, and my partner was this, or my ex-partner was that, and my mother did this to me. And we've working through this stuff, right? Well, there's another side to it. I got a couple of real funny stories. One of them is... About 2 months ago, I walked down to the sun was going down, and I'm walking through the Avenida toward the beach in a place I'd never gone before. And I said to myself, God, I sure would like to have some fresh coconut water. And I come around the corner, and there's a guy there. I got to know him. His name's David, and he's got coconuts. So I'm drinking coconut water. And then I think it was a few weeks later, I don't eat a whole lot of meat, but I'm more of an intuitive eater. I eat a lot of produce, a lot of veggies and fruit. I was coming back from the beach. It was dark, and I took this other way, which was like an alley, but they had like businesses around it. And I was just coming out of the beach, and I thought, man, I'm from Texas, and I used to barbecue a lot, and Texas is known for its barbecue. And I was coming around the corner. I was like, man, I sure would like to have some barbecue. I really would. And I take a few more steps, and there's this guy in front of the grill, and he's barbecuing. And I thought it was a shop, because they're all shops there, right? But here in Mexico, you could have somebody living right. Sometimes they live in the same building. And so anyway, I walk up to the guy, and he says to me, "Hey, what's going on?" I said, "Hey, man, what's happening?" He said, "Would you like a beer?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure." So I think I'm at a restaurant. You know what I mean? I didn't know.
Yeah.
I'm just smelling his barbecue. And so anyway, long story short was, I said, well, can I have he goes, oh, well, this is not for people. This is for a party. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, oh, let me pay you for the beer. It's like, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But before I left, he said, hang on a second. And he got me a plate, and they put me some barbecue on it. But the reason I'm telling that story is because this telepathy thing, like what made me think of it is when you said that earlier, like, and it happens to me too, and it happens on the other shows. I'll start to think something, and then the other person starts to say it, right? Well, this is not just something that's unique to the individual people in these vessels. This is with the dogs. This, like last night, those two white dogs could not have come at a better time. And then the way they sat next to me, one on each side, there was something there. There was a telepathic mirroring there, right? So it doesn't just work in conversations. This is actually the direction we're headed. It's natural.
Yeah.
It's our natural nature. And this is what's really fascinating to me is, I used to say this on the show for years, and I don't know if you ever do this, but you'll say things and you won't even know what the hell you're saying, but it just keeps coming in. And I'd always say, maybe the hardest thing for us, the biggest program, the biggest challenge for us is going to be getting comfortable, reacclimated with our natural nature. We're so accustomed to the shoe dropping or something happening, but it's not happening anymore. It's only going to happen to the extent and to those who continue to align or attach to those belief systems, those suggestions. And look, all the walls are falling down. Everything's coming down. People say it's going to be ugly. It's going to be. Well, how do you know? How do you know? How do you know that it's going to be ugly? How do you know that? Because you're buying into it? Because I'm buying into it? How do we really know? And how do we even know? What if the whole world gets hit by a comet and is on fire? And we're being taught to be afraid of that. How do we not know that in the case of a cataclysmic event, that we don't turn light body? We are fire. I'm fire. I'm triple fire. We are fire. We are the elements. But we have built this construct, and what a great job we did. Because who better to fool you than yourself, right? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Right. So we have created this whole thing, and really the reality is, and this is what's really sunk in for me living here the last few months, is that every single thing out there is me. I can merge with any of it. Now, sometimes I might step by a vibration that doesn't feel right. That's instinctive. That's innate. That's intuitive. And I know, okay, that's not my neighborhood. But it's all us. Every bit of it's us. And if we want to buy into the narratives, look, we all know about the galactic wars. Many of us have downloaded that stuff. I did it for 2 years. That was a narrative. That was our story. We were not our stories. We were all of our stories, right? We're all of it, every bit of it. And yeah, there's been deceitfulness and this and that and all these things. But, just like you said about unconditional love, there's no such thing. It's just love, which is really everything, right? And if you really think about it, the things that we have done out of ego love, ego fear, same thing. We've done to be loved, to love, to have our love recognized and to be loved. Well, that was part of the head game. Because if I look at you,
Valentine's.
right? I'm looking at you, and more people that come on this show, really since May, I'm looking at them, and I go through. I don't ever really talk about this, but when I do shows all these years, I'm getting downloaded the whole time. I'm being challenged in my ego. I'm being challenged in well, God, what is she saying? Well, who do you think you are? Right in the middle of the show. Or I'll have the face will be shape-shifting. But this is really how it works for us every day. And I think what's happening now is we're starting to have, like you said earlier, which I think is the perfect way to describe it. I kind of experienced it last night when I was standing in the sand and I heard my voice. But as you know, just like we have many masks, we have many voices. But there's this one voice, this one calm, almost silent voice, still voice, and it started speaking to me. And that was about the time the dogs came. And I just started fucking crying, just crying my eyes out. Snot's coming out of my nose. I'm just, and the crazy thing is, it happened the night before too. 3 straight hours I was
Mm,
crying, but it was, I don't even know how to explain it. I could feel my DNA
mm,
transforming in my body, burning, just burn. I'm so hot. I'm so hot. I'm so hot. I come home. I'm like, oh my God, why am I so hot? I mean,
mhm,
we're not at the finish line,
mhm,
but we're real close to a point. This is what I said on the show 2 days ago on the shows. I said, you know what? I woke up today and my soul said, there is a line right here. I'm done. I am done effing
mhm,
around. I am soul in the body, and let's roll.
mhm.
And I feel like, I know I'm not the only one. I feel like something huge is going on now, like bigger than we've ever experienced. I can't wait to see what happens in the next few weeks before before the equinox. However,
Yes.
I'm not going to live out there because I know we've got work to do on a personal level between now and then.
Yes.
That's how we help this
Mhm,
world. The way we help this world is to be brutally honest with ourselves and have those conversations like you talked about and take the hit and go, oh my God,
mhm.
what a, you know what, that I was, or how greedy I was, or how did I treat, yeah, you know what, it's not an easy ride, but like you said, there's
Mhm,
forerunners, and who would think that the forerunners would be doing, that this would be their duties, would be to clean up their own stuff.
Ooh, we brought a lot of energy into the room. I'm like boiling, boiling, because the truth is that we were really living this fragmental dream, and this dream was influenced by so many outer distortions. And again, what is this outer distortions? It was these creations which we were not awakened yet and just created from there because I want it, I need it, I don't care. And these are all creations which are distorted. They're not in a unified field. They're not from the law of one which would serve everyone. So this distorted dream was suddenly, of course, then fed by these outer distorted pieces, which we call now government, TV, I don't know, neighbor, this, that, and every day we're hearing, and suddenly we were starting to constantly dream just this dream for those outer broken pieces, which were not a whole oneness harmonized, right? So that's why the dream was like one day it was up, one day it was down, one day it's war, one day it's I don't know what all. And what is happening now is actually that the soul is through the remembrance starting all these pieces, we could say soul fragments, bringing back together. And when we're bringing it back together, and it doesn't matter how those pieces were looking like, we are having then the chance to then, not before, become really this sovereign, eternal, divine being who is the creator, dreaming your dream, non-influenced dream from the TV, from the neighbor, from the culture, from this and that. So we were constantly actually just almost factories, human factories, creating something through so much other influences. It was never really like our conscious creation, but unconscious creation. And that's why we were being able to be hooked for such a long time inside, because it was actually this influence which then made us believe, oh, what an ugly world. Oh, I'm in lack. Oh, I'm this and that. Because, of course, you've been influenced to dream that, and suddenly you actually landed in such a dream. But that's as well why incarnation was constantly happening, because there was a ceiling. And that's also something which being shown once again this past few days for me, that now when we become a unified field, the remembrance switches on and actually breaks through the ceiling. And I also get the information we were never meant to return and to return and to return. That was the loop. So no matter, I will say no, I don't care because I know source. I mean, I trust source. trust source here and there and all. But just to say, all these books, the religion, that's normal. It's normal to come 100,000 times back. Oh, it's normal to suffer. Oh, this is really normal to be, I don't know, killed and this and that, so on. No, it's not normal. But because it happened so often, it became normal. And everyone started to accept it and even not question it in any kind of way. Because when you're divine, when you're awake, you start to question because you see the truth, you remember, and you know it's not right. Because a real harmonious creation is never, ever, ever distorted and harming anything in the whole clockwork. Remember what we spoke before? It's perfectly working for each other. Perfectly. So again, soul. Now the free passageway is coming. So this means indeed it was never meant to just learn as much, because then there is no further development, right? There is no further growth for the soul. So this means it was a trap, coming back and being machines for dreaming for those others who don't have God sparks, and so on and so forth. So, but going now forward, the soul has now this passageway. And okay, I knew now why I started to talk about it, because I had so much I would love to talk here, but I also love, of course, your stories. And it was like Yeshua, and coming through as, again, master consciousness. And he was pointing out blood. And we know that so much is constantly being talked about blood. Okay, blood, they're using it. Okay, they are drinking it or whatever. But no, that was more. Remember when we were like youngster, or maybe you did it or not, but cutting and doing the brotherhood thing, you know, for putting the blood together and so on. So why was it constantly used even for contracts? Blood, blood. So there is more. There is more than just blood. And I had a small talk with a friend who is also like skilled with some Egyptian stories, etc., history. And she said that they were also saying that actually the blood is holding your true identity, which is now very interesting. And I will come to a conclusion to why I'm getting these fragments of all, because we are now purifying again sins, whatever, all those stories that, you know, our blood was also holding, and to really purify that. And when the phrase is coming that, you know, use Jesus' blood to be purified or something, I think the church are also saying something like that. But really to come to a simple point that we are purifying ourselves because we are like Yeshua was. And he was in front of our eyes showing us that he could take the body and leave. All right? That's the point. He was really pointing that out for me some days ago again, to say it is not that you were meant to stay here and loop. I showed it for you in front of your eyes to remember that that's what your body is well created to be. That light body that you're taking your whole being and you're shifting to the next. And there is then the next soul growth and whatever we can say now, school or just another realm where we are upgrading and so on. And this was for me something very powerful, to actually receive this information, that it's not only that we're shifting as humanity and, you know, body is changing to the crystalline and so on. Hello, we are out of this loop, really, this forever loop of incarnation and being held here and thinking that this is all normal. None of that was normal and none of that was truth. But of course, when you're filled with so much influences, you forget. And that's why don't focus what is being now shown and exposed. It's only to show us in which distortion we lived, and keep now the focus that your soul is actually elevating forward as human, as soul, as body.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. 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 And yes. Yeah. I mean, everything that, anything that we do see, like if I'm not going to look at Epstein anymore, but I don't know, I pick up a piece of paper or go to a website and all of a sudden they're talking about it. Whatever's presented to me is for me. And so it's not about what happened. It's about how does it make me feel, which goes back to what you said. This is how we do this. We feel our way through. And that's awareness, presence, and power right there. Because the more we rely on our feelings, which is another word could be intuition. I think there's more than one word. I mean, if you look at it, and again, we have to look at the feminine voice here because it's been the leader here in the awakening. When you don't listen to your intuition, what happens? And then the other thing is sometimes there's a fine line between intuition and insecurity. We get a download and we say, "Oh, the Arcturians contacted me. I'm something, you know." Well, no, it's not. My partner always says it's all, and you know, it's all just information. It's information. Why limit ourselves to just that? You know, I know just from my own personal experiences, many different connections, Essenes, indigenous on the earth, the rocks, the mountains, everything on the earth, but also some galactic things, some elemental things. Well, they're not me, but they are me. I'm comprised of all of it, of everything. And this is the kind of intelligence that we're working with here. It's when, like you could just say, for instance, when two come together, okay, now there's access to a wider field. It's not just what I have, it's what you have, and then the people watching or whatever the situation is. That's why that whole idea of where two or more gather, because the math changes. That was something that was, I would almost say like prophesized. The time when you, and, you know, so much talk about twins and twin flames and soulmates. Well, when you really get down to it, we're talking about the energetic template here. We're talking about our own core. We are the mother, the father, and the child. So now we have this opportunity, after all this BS and all this mind control and this and that, to go, we can actually do this in the flesh, you know, with our counterpart, with our friend, with our relative. This is unity consciousness. It's when we start to reach this point where I'm looking at a mirror of myself. And then once that happens, you don't have the same math. You don't have the same geometry. We're returning to the natural nature of what we are. And as a result, the illusion is deconstructing. I mean, look at the way time has changed the last few years. I'm really tapped into space leaving us now. Like I'm in a situation where I'm, you know, by myself in the physical, but I'm not. I'm learning that I'm not. I'm learning I'm right next to the people I love. I'm right next to this person and that person in this place. I'm restricted in the physical world. I'm restricted to travel in the world. I'm working with that. Because I know that's not bigger than me. I don't care about borders and passports. I don't care about that stuff. I am a soul. And I can do anything. And the thing is, the only way the telepathy works, the only way the miracles and the magic and the alchemy really works is with an open heart. And the more your heart is open, the more comes to you, right? I mean, this I've lived this for the last few months. I came here to this town. I didn't choose it. I didn't choose the circumstances. I didn't choose the consequences, however you want to put it. But the universe is speaking to me every single day. And you said this earlier. One of the characteristics is how everyone stays in their own lane. I forgot how you said it. But the result of that is when I walk into this town, it's like an ant farm. It's like if you ever watch ants, everyone's doing their own thing. Nobody's interfering with anybody. They're all working together. Come on, this can't be the only place in the world like this. I can't be the only one going through it. And again, I'll go back to what I said at the beginning after you were telling us, after you opened the show, is that, you know, this is happening everywhere, but it's not being talked about. It's not being talked about on typical Lightworker, Starseed, disclosure, conspiracy platforms. It's not. You know what's being talked about? All the salaciousness. You know what I mean? Like, do you know this happened? And do you know that the moon is a soul recycler and this and that? And really? Really? Why don't we talk about the soul? Why don't we talk about me and you? Why don't we talk about the connection and the real thing that we have in common? Right? Why don't we talk about that? If you want to talk about this other stuff, that's fine too. But what does that mean? Do you think that they can control my soul? I don't care. I used to kind of be afraid to say this, and I've said it many times. And I've had some encounters with dark beings. But I'm telling you right now, if 12, 22-foot reptilians walk in here and tell me they're going to torture me, sodomize me, rape me, kill me, I'm going to say, you know what? I love you. You go right ahead and do that, but I'm going to come right back and I'm going to kick your ass. Do you really want to do this anymore? Because I've had that conversation with them. I've had that conversation with the demons. Because you know, and this is another way that I kind of bring things together for myself. It's sometimes if I'm, you know, communing and I'm having these thoughts, right? I'm having this conversation with the universe or whatever. I'll bring forth the highest light being that I can see. And then I'll bring the highest, darkest, or the most powerful of both ends of the spectrum. And I will stand before them and I will say, I am soul. I am soul. You're not better than me. You're not less than me. You are me. Boom. Right? And I might have told you this, but Mother Mary taught me that years ago after she took me through a week-long initiation. And then when the initiation was over, she goes, now who are you going to trust in that moment? You know, in the moments where you're having to sit with your soul or seek the highest you can. I said, she said, are you going to trust me or you? And I said, me. She goes, you learn your lesson. So really, you know, I guess, you know, to sum all that up, it goes back to the same thing. Anything that we see outside of ourselves is us. We cannot divorce ourselves from any aspect of the universe or the experience. And what you brought to the table today for me, to restate to myself is really that's where it comes down to. Because we're having these conversations. I used to call it with my soul when I reawoke. It would say the brutal honesty of the soul. And I would write that and people say, why do you use that word? It's not brutal. Well, yeah, it is. It is. It's fucking brutal. It's brutal to find out that you've been an asshole. It's brutal to find out that you've been lying to yourself about a promise that you broke or you know what I mean? I mean, oh, I was a great father or I was a bad father or whatever the case is. It's you know, I mean, it's come down to these personal conversations, and I really feel that this information that we're gaining on a personal level as we move into a more and more alignment of our true nature, they're not easy conversations, and that's the kind of conversations and information that we can share with each other and admit publicly and openly that to me, this is ground zero, that this is the highest level of code that we can come across now. It's not out there. It's not out there. It's not from the boogeyman and the Illuminati and this and that. It's from each other being open and transparent with each other. And I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about the shifts, the shit, the good, the bad, the ugly, the nice, the everything. Everything, you know, and that's a scary thing when you spend your whole time, because if you look at the conditioning, there's many streams, but one of those main streams is the psychological the psychological brainwashing, whatever you want to call it. And what is that rooted in? That's rooted in my belief and my belief of myself. And so I don't want you to know this. Well, I've been telling this story for 20 years, for 30 years, 40 years. I did this and I did that and I am this and I am that. Really? Well, who am I trying to convince? Me or you? Right?
Exactly.
So it's
And
this is not for the brave. This I would say this is the brave of heart. This is not for the weak of heart. But yeah,
yeah.
we all got it. We've all got it. Every single one of us has it. You know, and it's coming online fast, real fast.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna
Oh
let
yeah.
you. I'm gonna let you take the last 5 or 10 minutes, whatever you want to do. We've already been on 2 hours. I can't believe that. Did you know that? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
didn't.
it's just wonderful flow. I can feel that energy, like really fire, but as well this clarity. And I just want to mention, because you said about, being honest and admit this to self and to the other. And I don't know, I just want to really speak about relationships, okay? Like between men and women, and that how long those games were going on, and not games just like malicious, but games from the ego, who always wanted, to impress her. For example, the man, the woman, show the best side. These are still all games, because it's not, coming to rip off the mask and just, being you, whatever is, being felt in that day. And what actually this new, let's call them now the new versions of relationships, which are, of course, everything is upgrading now, is that we're gonna meet this heart to heart, this soul to soul. And before they called them, because they were more unique, maybe twin flames, and like you mentioned before, but actually globally spoken, that when we work through that density or those programs through, that we can really meet each other eye to eye. And I tell you, men and women, both sides, are craving for finally dropping off those masks, because it was, again, I'm using the word again, exhausting to constantly play, constantly please, constantly, be something just to be like amazing or whatever, and to keep her going or to keep him going. But actually, all what we always wanted, when we come to the heart, there is as well this innocence of this inner child. And this inner child really just wants to be free and be, who he is or she is, naked. And naked means, like, even if I have scars, or I don't know, I have blue eyes and not red one, which I'm showing, or whatever it is. But this innocence of soul, of inner child, of this purity of divinity, that we don't need masks, but that we can start this new golden age in this clarity and truth. And truth is that we just are. We are not a role. We are not a condition. We are not, we just are this vibration. And again, we are all craving that. And especially, I will mention, because it's tomorrow, this Valentine's Day, right? That what is really the biggest gift, that we can just sit down with each other and just admit and say, yes, actually, I don't know, I have problems, or actually, I'm not that, and this and so on. Because it's not that you are like that and opening a battlefield that the other one will then judge you, but actually, we are looking and longing to finally speak with each other in that pure, honest, raw way. And I'm on your side with talking about raw, because that's all what it needs. We don't need, we women, we don't need a man with money. We don't need a man with muscles. We just want that soul with which I'm connected the moment when we met. So there is something deeper. I didn't connect because you have a six pack. I mean, I feel you, and this feeling you drawn me or draw you in my outer part from my inner part. And that's still a big, big, big way to go, because, you know, suddenly, like you said, to admit that maybe I'm not that rich or I'm not that great, or I also have fears and so on, will mess with the mind, because it will say then, oh, then I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, and I'm surely not a divine, right? I'm actually maybe even evil or whatever the mind will make up. And this is all very important now for those last minutes to share, because it's really about that process the ego will have and is already starting to have, that it's only judged by its own self. Source, divinity, your dearest, your mother, whoever is really not judging you, but because you believe they are, of course, they will then reflect you back in that way. So again, back to belief system, back to what I think is actually then really happening. And can I drop from them thinking into the process of feeling? And I'm just meeting myself now in this ego transformation process from feeling myself. Okay, I feel here I'm insecure. I feel here is something, I don't know, was in lack. But again, I'm just on a self-discovery. There's nothing else. So I'm discovered now parts of me which I can now bring from this shadow, because they were actually hidden. That's why we call them shadow, right? We bring them from these little deep corners just to the light. And the moment when they're on the light, we can just, okay, shine on, and it's almost like melting into the field. It has no meaning anymore. Like you said, Epstein files is already far past. So it's like very fast, gonna just go, 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 go. So we're not even stucking to those things which will be shown to us. So this means you have fear. Okay, basically nothing special. Okay, next one. Anger, let it out. Don't suppress. Okay, next one. And that's how actually rapidly is and can be going. So it will either push you and you will stumble into all of that, or you can just say, oh my God, actually it feels great, because suddenly I understand that I'm really from my center able to operate this process of transformation. So it's not that I'm like in a, lost situation here. I can do nothing. You can. You go with it. So if something raises up, you are the one who chooses. I'm not judging. I'm just seeing and recognizing it, embracing next one. Okay, so we don't need to extra create any kind of stories around that, because we are now getting rid of the stories to clean and open these vessels actually for new stories, for magical, for wonderful, for powerful, whatever you like. It will come now from a more pure creative space, and not anymore which was, brought on from your ancestry or from your culture, from the ground you're living on, etc., and so forth. So it's like really something which can go even rapidly. And that's also what I'm always saying in my sessions or to clients. You don't need to dwell months and months now inside of that. Acknowledge, and that's the speed that you're not fighting against, like, oh no, I'm feeling anxiety, so I need to run now fast. Just take this 5 minutes, 10 minutes, how long it takes, and you can be very fast done with it. And that's the point. Faster you look into your stuff now, faster actually it will go. And you don't need really to fear that it will take forever, because that's also something people are afraid to look at themselves, because they think it's going to feel so terrible that they can't stand it. But actually, it's again a woo-woo, right? Like someone told me that like that, or everyone is saying that, or it's written in the books. No, you have your experience. And actually, I would love that everyone would read my last post I made, because it's so as well on point, again, coming from conversation, my divinity, source conversation, that everyone is still in that kind of, if something is unclear, they call maybe a neighbor or a friend or a partner or going to ask all around. And God was saying that all of those people can only answer you from their perspective, their pre-experience, from their wounds. So it will never be actually your perfect answer, but only your heart, your feeling, your source within knows the only answer. What's the best for you to do next? What's the best to take, the lead? And that's what you said with Mother Mary, that you will always choose you. So these are suggestions and opinions which can inspire you, but they can mess you up completely on your path as well, because then you're confused to, was it right that this one said to fear the next step, and this one said, don't go into love because you're going to be hurt. That's all their experiences, and they can take away from your completely different one. So that's for me sovereignty, that we can't talk, discuss, but at the end or at the beginning, you need to feel what is really your truth. And only like that we can walk.
Yeah. Yeah, because any connection that you have, mother, partner, exes, but whatever, we've all been there. You have these conversations in your head, but the thing is, they're not there talking. It's you talking with your perception of who they are, or what they'll say, or what they think. So that's a really good point, because that's dropping, and that goes back to what we talked about at the beginning, because ultimately everything you take into yourself. Sovereignty. I think a lot of these things that we try to say, there's more than one word, but like to me, sovereignty is
Yeah.
total openness, total
Mhm.
acceptance, total responsibility and accountability for the. I had this happen 3 or 4 nights ago. This into my communion, and they said, "You realize that you can, in other words, you can. This world will be whatever you want it to be. You,
Mm.
Todd, you. All right,
Yes.
and so
Yes.
I really." And then I had some extraordinary experiences at the beach after that. But yeah, I really feel this has been a great conversation. We'll have to do it again. We got another show in 21 minutes. Pink,
Oh.
what is Pink Bella Aloha? And but yeah, let's do this again, Dijane. We'll
Mm.
do it again in a few weeks. I'll hit you up, and maybe right around the equinox. It might be good.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe
Sounds
we'll
good.
get a few sisters to come in around the 20, 21, 22, 23 March. That ought to be huge.
Mhm.
All right, I'm going to take a
Oh,
quick
yes.
break. Everybody, thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming in. We'll be back in
Mm.
20 minutes. And if you want to join in, join in. If you want to see on the replay, see on the replay. Take care, sister.
Thank you so much.
It was good
Thank
seeing
you so
you.
much. Much love to all.
Blessings of peace, grace, and
Thank
love to you and yours.